Good evening, everyone, and we want to thank you for joining us for our second night of the Virtual Family Forum. We're happy to have you with us here tonight, and we're ready to carry on where we left off yesterday. But don't worry, if you missed the presentations yesterday, they'll be made available on our webpage. That's dallas.org/family, and we will have those up next week. Before we go any further, I'm going to I would next like to introduce our executive our executive director, Dr. Liliana Valadez.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for this virtual family forum. You know, our theme for the year is We're Ready, and we are certainly ready to welcome all of our students back this year, and we want our parents to be ready as well. We learned over the past year that virtual opportunities for everyone is advantageous because we don't have to all be in the same room. We can learn information quickly and can reach a lot of people at the same time. So thank you for logging on tonight. Our goal tonight is to, number one, to engage parents. Number two is to educate parents on the ways that which we were going to transition and start a new school year, and to empower you to have that information so you can be the advocates for your child. So we want to wish you a successful school year.
Thank you, Dr. Valadez. Okay. I wanted to give you a quick overview of what our topics will be for this evening. Well, first, we're going to have information about student transportation, and then we'll have a session on issues and complaint resolutions, the procedures for school-related concerns. And finally, we'll cap the night off with COVID support relief for families. So we have a lot of great information this evening, so we're going to get ready to jump in. But before we do that, we want to go over some etiquette for our forum. Please ask questions on the Q&A section of the Zoom. It's located either on the top or the bottom bar of your screen, and put questions there. We will do our best to answer all questions live. But if time allows, we will ask our presenters to stay and answer some of the questions. All of our questions will be recorded, so if you don't have your questions answered, we will write them down and pass them on to the right department so that they can get them answered for you. Okay, so we're ready to start with our first presentation. Let's begin with Ms. Mayra Cáceres. She's with Transportation Services Department, and she will give important information on what you need to know about transportation for the first day of school. Ms. Cáceres?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Mayra Cáceres, and I work as a liaison for the Student Transportation Services Department. Thank you for being here today and for the opportunity to present the services and resources student transportation offer to our students. I am going to share information on the following topics: general information, registration for transportation, COVID, student behavior on the bus, transportation platforms, resources like Elink, Bus Bulletin, My Stop mobile app, and Let's Talk, and the call center. Next slide, please. General information. For the new school year 2021-2022, Routing Department has created a total of 1,658 routes. The request of new routes and/or stops will depend on the availability and the specific needs of the services. We also have 810 drivers and a fleet of 1,120 buses. We have 4 service centers that provide transportation to our students: Kleberg Service Center, Pat Rainey Service Center, Longview Service Center, and North Dallas Service Center. Next slide, please. During school enrollment, you will be asked the question if transportation services are needed. Please make sure to select yes so student can be registered to receive transportation services. All students who qualify for transportation services must register during the electronic school enrollment process, also known as PowerSchool. Enrollment for transportation services must be done at the student's assigned campus or by using the link below. As for special education services or choice school programs, additional steps are required and may delay the registration and approval process. If a parent does not know what school is right for their student, they can visit the district website and use the tool Find My School. Next slide, please.
Ms. Casares, I'm sorry, before you continue, can you please turn on your camera?
I'm trying,
Okay.
and it's saying that it's blocking.
Okay.
That is blocking.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about COVID, what is different this year, and what we are doing to continue with safety protocols. So first, the bus cleaning procedures. They're going to be done daily between trips, and basically it will cover surfaces like handrails, seats, windows, or any other surface that the student may touch. Also weekly, which is a deeper cleaning process, and it will be a germ blast, that it will be done once a week. The buses will be sprayed down with disinfectant. For personal protective equipment, or PPE, wearing a mask is optional at district schools and facilities, and on buses unless otherwise specified by an ARD or 504. Dallas ISD remains committed to continue following social distancing and sanitation protocols, and will follow updated safety guidelines based on the directions of the CDC and the Dallas County Health Department. Next slide, please. Student behavior on the bus. Students are expected to follow the district code of conduct and the bus rules while on the bus. Appropriate student behavior is essential to the safe operation of the school bus. Safety is our priority. Students are our precious cargo, and we are committed to provide safe and reliable transportation in a timely manner. Therefore, it's very important that all students follow the district code of conduct and bus rules so drivers can focus their attention to the road. If you need more information or would like to read more about the district code of conduct, there is a link there, www.dallasisd.org, and you can see last year's code of conduct. And we are in the process of updating and finalizing the district code of conduct for the year 2021-2022. Next slide. I'll be talking about transportation platforms. This is one of my favorite topics. These are the resources that Student Transportation Services Department have for parents, staff, and the community. We offer different ways to stay connected with your child's transportation. I'm gonna start with Elink. And Elink provides information on the student's route. It will let you know the route number, the school that the student attends. It will give you the pickup time, the drop-off time, and the stop information. All posted times for bus stops are approximate, as there are several variables which may contribute to arrival times, such as weather, traffic, construction, and other unexpected factors. Okay, you can access Elink by using the link showing on the slide. For the username, please type in your student's ID number. And for the password, please type the student's birth date. The format will be, as shown on the slide, it will be 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the date, and 4 digits for the year. Next platform will be Bus Bulletin. And Bus Bulletin is a notification system. It immediately informs parents of any changes in their student's route, including the time of bus arrival. An example of a notification will be delay. So once parents are registered and they receive a delay notification, it will let them know the route number, the school, and an approximate time of arrival. It could be 5, 10, 15, depending on the situation. Notifications are received through text messages, emails, or voice notifications on your cell phone or home phone. And the parents have the choice when they are in the registration process, they have the choice to select what way they would like to be notified. Using Bus Bulletin is free to parents and students. Next slide, please. We continue with transportation platforms and resources. Versatrans, My Stop mobile app, allows parents to view their students' live bus location. The important thing is to use it, 10 minutes before the projected time of arrival. You can access My Stop by downloading the mobile application through your smartphone or online, visiting the link that is shown on the slide. Versatran My Stop is a tracking device. It's a GPS, a global positioning system. And you can access My Stop in 3 easy steps. Search for Versatran My Stop in your smartphone and download the application. Select Dallas ISD when prompted and enter your login credentials. Again, it will be the same username and password as Elink. You will use your student's date of birth for the password and your student's ID number for the username. Next slide, please. Transportation platforms continue with Let's Talk. And Let's Talk is a platform that allows parents, members of the community, staff members to communicate directly, sending us questions, comments, concerns, and feedback regarding student transportation services. You can access Let's Talk online visiting the district website, and it's shown on the slide, www.dallasisd.org. And you can also download the application through your digital device. It could be a laptop, a cell phone, this computer, and tablet. Let's Talk is very useful. It's an online community engagement and customer service solution that makes it easy to connect with us. It's a great tool of communication. Parents can select the topic of interest from the list and then submit it through Let's Talk. A school district employee will be notified. And if you request a response or a callback, you will hear back from us in a timely manner. Next slide, please. Call center. The Student Transportation Services call center is here to serve you. We are here to serve you, parents, community members, employees. And we continue with the commitment of providing customer service excellence by providing safe, efficient, and timely transportation for all Dallas ISD students through well-trained staff committed to safety, excellence, and continual professional development. The days and hours of operation for the call center are from Monday to Friday, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you can also contact us by calling 972-925-4-BUS 4287. Next slide, please. Please contact us. We would love to hear from you, either if it's a comment or a feedback. And you can visit us at our webpage, dallasisd.org/transportation. You can also call us at 972-925-4-BUS. Again, 925-4287. We currently have several positions for CDL drivers, CDL trainee, MPV driver, and other positions. If you're interested, please come work for us. And the link will be on Dallas ISD website, career opportunities with student transportation services. Thank you all for your time and attention. I hope that everyone has a very safe, productive, and successful new school year.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. We do have a few questions. If you don't mind answering some of these on here. Our first
No.
question is, will schools send out information or instructions for pickup and drop-off transportation?
Can you repeat that question again? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Will schools send out information or instructions for pickup and drop-off?
Obtain it by going to the Elink, the Elink application. When they
Okay.
go to Versatrans Elink on Dallas ISD webpage, once they put their student's ID number for username and the password will be their student's birth date, that will take them to all the route information for their students. It will tell them what is their stop, if it's from school to school, or if it's from address in the neighborhood to the school. It will give them the route number. It will give them the approximate time that the student will be picked up at the stop and the approximate time that the student will arrive to school in the morning. It will also give you the complete route information, which is AM and PM. So for the PM, it will also let them know at what time the student will be leaving from campus and at what time the student is expected to get to their stop. All that information is through Elink.
So before you sign off, is there any way you could put that in the Q&A section so that parents can get that link?
Oh, I can definitely include it, but it's on resources page or slide. I listed the information and the steps.
Okay, we'll get it. We'll look at it again and put it on there for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so does that link also include OTI and magnet schools?
I do not know. I'm sorry, but I do not know if that includes that information, but for sure I will ask my supervisor. And if it's okay with you and with everybody, I can provide that information later on today or tomorrow.
Okay. I have a parent here, Ms. Hurst, asking if she's already registered her student. Can she edit it to sign up for transportation?
Yes, she will have to go back. She will have to do it online through the district website or call the campus, their students' campus, and let them know that she wants to receive transportation services. She can change that either contacting the campus, the student campus, or by going to the district website for registration.
Okay. Has the link been tested and updated? Because I have parents here who have not been able to get the link because it's not working.
Yes, it was. I made sure of that. I'm clicking, it will be the key control plus the clicking, one click with the mouse at the same time, and it should take them to the website, to that link.
Okay, we will provide that information on our webpage as well then. Does the school contact the bus barn to let them know when a student rider was sent home as a positive case or have a deep cleaning done before the same bus is used?
Yeah, the deep cleaning is done once a week. Now, the buses are cleaned per, daily, every trip that they have. So let's say that the driver has 3 schools, right? So it will be cleaned 3 times in the morning and then 3 times in the afternoon. So for each trip, The bus has to be clean and sanitized. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to go through the questions. For these apps, does it allow for different buses for the same student?
Yes. All they have to do is just register. You know, they will input the information for their students,
Mhm.
and it will then notify them.
Okay. So, what if the student is on the wrong route? How do they get that corrected?
If the student was routed to the incorrect route,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, so routing department is the one that creates routes based on the student's home address. So if there is an error on the student's route, they need to contact routing department. They can call transportation department and ask for support from routing department.
Is that the number that's
That's
on
why
the
we have.
slide right now? Is that the number, the 972-925-4 bus? Is that the number?
Yes, ma'am. The four bus or 925-4287. Yes.
Okay, so if a student has two addresses because of joint custody, can both addresses be added for the pickup at different schools?
That's a very good question. I don't know the specifics for that question. I can get back with you on that one too. Let me write that down.
Okay. Do you know if the routes have been changed this year?
Well, we provide, let me say this, we provide transportation according to the service centers, you know, what area are they servicing. So as far as routes, we have almost the same routes. There may be instances where routes may be combined due to ridership. But you know, those decisions are made by the routing department. And like I said before, if a parent needs help with their student's route as far as their stop or a route, you know, changes in the route or changes or additions to the stop, then they need to submit those requests by calling the 972-925 for bus. That's, you know, their call will be taken by the call center. And once the call center has their inquiry, they will redirect their call to the best appropriate, you know, person that can help them.
Okay, thank you. When will the bus schedules be posted?
I'm thinking that it should be very soon, either this week, at the end of this week, because I mean we are starting school next Monday for one of our calendars. Is that information not on the website, or you guys have not received that information?
I'm not sure they're asking if it's, when will it be posted? So I'm assuming they don't.
The routes itself, the routers at each service center, they have the RDS or the route data report where they create all the routes. I mean, the service centers, they do have what routes are going to be serviced in their center. And, you know, they have to select also, you know, the drivers and monitors for the special education routes. We
Okay,
will provide that information as soon as possible.
so hopefully this week before the end of the week, so that when school
Yes,
starts,
ma'am.
we'll have it. Okay, thank you. If parents don't want to allow to use a school bus, or if they only want to do AM or PM, is that allowed?
Well, if it's a regular ed route, yes, they have the choice. I mean, if they only need transportation in the morning, then that's what they will select. If they only need transportation in the PM, then that's what they will select. For special education routes is a little bit different because their services are guided by, the R meetings for that student.
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned that the passport, the ID number for the students, the date of birth, is that with or without the dashes?
No, it's with the dashes. Yes, ma'am. Just
So-
like the format on the slide. Yes, it will be 2 digits for the month, dash the 2 digits for the date, and then the 4 digits for the year.
Using the link, if parents have more than one student that go to different schools, do they have to sign in on different links, or can they use the same link?
No, I mean, they will use, if it's for bus bulletin or for, are we talking about bus bulletin?
She just asked if we have two students going to different schools, does she have to sign in, different sign in for each student?
For bus transportation, no. At the moment when she is registering her students for transportation, or during the enrollment process, she can select, how many students will be, riding on the bus.
Ms. Smith has graciously told us that the campuses say they have the bus information. So those of you that need it, you should be able to contact your campus and they would have it if you don't see it online. Okay, I'm looking at the more questions. Okay, so there are a couple on here, Ms. Gaceres, that are saying that are not able to enter on the link. So if you could take that back with you to make sure that that's tested and active, or to see what issues they're having with that.
What link specifically are they having trouble accessing, so
The
I can
E-Link.
double check?
The Elink,
Elink,
yes,
is that the only one?
that's the only one I've seen so far in here.
Okay, let me.
Okay, so if my son used the bus last year, do we need to do anything different this year?
The only thing that they will have to do is just make sure that they need to that they're going to continue using transportation services. Just like every year, students are enrolled during registration process. Then when the question comes, yes or no, if they need transportation services, then we are, encouraging parents to please, select yes, that they do need transportation services, and then, they can continue receiving the services. There's no problem. Usually it's students that are, in elementary school and they've been riding the bus, the following year it will be, the same route. It might be a different driver or not, but they already know what the stop is, and their pickup or drop off, information like that doesn't vary that much. Only if it were a new student. If it was a new student, then it would be, a little bit different. But once a student is enrolling in school, and they select to receive transportation services or to continue receiving transportation services, there should not be any problem at all.
Okay, thank you. I have a parent here who just checked her child's bus and her status says no bus. What does that mean?
It could mean different things. It takes few days for that information show updated on Versatrans. It could be there is discrepancy in the home address. There are certain factors that if it's not completely accurate, the information, or the data controller at school or the person designated, to input that information, if that information is not yet updated or has not uploaded on the system, then it's going to show that there's no bus assigned to the student. With this particular parent, if I provide my email address, I will be more than welcome, or my office number, and I will be more than welcome to check that information for her, as I have access to Versatrans.
Okay. Do you want to put that in the questions or in the chat for us? Let's see. Are there any
Can I write in there?
on the Q&A? You should be able to, or you can put it on the chat and we'll see it and send it to her. Are there any specific precautions taken to prevent overcrowding on the buses, such as social distance practices?
Social distancing, we are practicing social distancing when possible. Since, we are not, last year, let's start by talking about last year. Last year, the seats were marked with X's. And those were the spots where students were not to sit. So we have one student per seat. This year, since the mask mandate has been changed to now optional, we don't have that kind of guideline on the seats, but we do have sanitizing gel on all of our buses, so when students load and unload, they can sanitize, their hands. Although masks are optional, the district, and we are all, highly encouraging, students and teachers and employees, ourselves, to wear masks, just to protect themselves. But as far as distancing on the bus, it's pretty difficult now to just have one person per seat or one student per seat. What we are encouraging also is that if there are siblings that are riders and they are riding on the same bus, for them to try to sit together or next to each other.
So we have time for a couple more questions. So a follow up to that last question, how many students are going to be allowed per bus?
That will depend on the size of the bus. If it's a yellow bus, the long yellow buses, I think that they are between 65 to 70 students. That's the capacity. On those numbers, that's the capacity for the students. Now, the blue buses, they only hold 12 students.
Okay. And one final question, if students are new and haven't registered yet, will they be allowed to ride the bus the first day?
If they are new and they are going to ride the bus that same first day of school,
Yes.
is that the question? The same
Yes.
first day of school, they just want to ride the bus?
Yes.
I mean, if they know what bus to, what bus will be transporting them, if they know the route number, if they know that they are certain that that bus is going to take them to the correct stop so they can get home, I will still say that, it would be best for them to register for student transportation. First of all, safety. If we do not know that that student is registered for transportation services, we just want to make sure that we are informed, that the parents are informed, that the student know who the bus driver is, what bus am I supposed to catch, where am I supposed to, wait for the bus at school. There are designated spots at school where the bus drivers, wait for students. And what stop? I mean, there are different variants that, we take in consideration when we are transporting students. So to answer your question, it will be best for that student to be registered and then just, catch the bus going back home.
So they can ride it the first day as long as they register that day, and then they can ride it home. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I have one more here. The student is not identified when re-enrolled. So what can this parent do?
The student is not identified.
Correct. She says, my student is not identified when I re-enroll them into the website.
I will say for her to contact the school.
Okay,
Contact the school, because once parents enroll their students in school, or they register them in school, they also have the opportunity to select, if they need transportation or not. So if her student is not showing, then she needs to make sure that he has been, that the process of registration has been completed.
All right, thank you. And I think that's all the time we have now for questions. I thank you very much, Ms. Caceres, for your information. And again, we are keeping record of all these questions. So we'll make sure that they get in the right hands so that they can be answered if they haven't been answered this evening. Thank you again.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all for having me, and you all have a great evening.
We're going to have Ms. Claudia Torrescano Torrens to talk about the resolution process and more information on that. Claudia?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate everyone's time and participation today. I think that it is very important, first of all, for all the families to stay informed and stay connected with Dallas ISD. And at the end, I will be providing some of the links and some information for you to be able to select what is your favorite way to stay connected. And the whole purpose is to avoid in the future or in this coming school year to have an issue or a complaint, and that way you don't have to go through this process of resolution procedure in regards to a concern with the school. So it is very important to know that there are many ways nowadays with technology for you to stay connected with Dallas ISD. And I know that parents are busy and parents are always running, but there are many different ways. For those of you that for some reason need to leave or will have to step out at the middle of this this session, you can always come back and listen to it. If you visit Dallas ISD Parents Facebook page or the Dallas ISD page or Dallas ISD Espanol, you will be able to access this information as well as share it with others. So I think it is very important if you share with others the information that you learn about today or that you hear about, and that you feel that it is important for other parents to be aware. So one of the reasons that it is important to know about this topic is because Dallas ISD wants parents to always express their concerns, for parents to be able to share and ask questions. And all before anything, the number one step is to always talk to the school. That is really your first contact. It should always be. And on day one, or the first week of school, the second week of school, when you have an opportunity to talk to the teacher or to communicate, it is very important to ask the teacher what is the best way to establish contact with them. Some teachers prefer text. Some teachers like to use one of the applications that the schools are using currently. Some other prefer to an email, and they may not necessarily respond at the moment, but they may be able to reply to it later. So there are many different ways to communicate, and it is very important to always be in touch with your teacher before it's not too late about finding if there is a problem or a concern regarding the student. So it's always important to check. And also, when you have a concern or something is happening, something is not the same, you see a different type of behavior in the student, always talk to the teacher. If the teacher does not respond, always talk to the counselor or the assistant principal, and then you can go to the school principal to be able to communicate. And at the end, I will be telling you about the application which you have heard about in the prior presentation that is called Let's Talk. And Let's Talk is just a wonderful way for you to communicate directly with the department that may be able to help you, or the school that can be able to assist. So today, at the end, as I mentioned, we will have a list of all the different ways that you can communicate, and we'll talk about Facebook, we'll talk about the information sessions for parents. We will talk about a podcast that is also available in case you want to listen to it on your mobile, tablet, or computer anytime, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And the same as a section in Facebook where you will be able to find this session today and all other videos that we have shared in the past. So now I would like to continue with the presentation and go on to the next slide. It is important to resolve issues, as I mentioned before, at the school level. So parents and guardians are asked to always use the official procedures in the board policy, what is called F&G. And this is a formal way of presenting a concern or a complaint. But this will happen when you feel that the problem has not been solved, or your concern has not, you have not received a solution, and that you have not received an answer. So we will talk about what is the step that you need to take in order to follow an official complaint process that is based on and outlined by board policy with Dallas ISD. So today we will be giving you a brief summary of this process, and it is important for you to know as a parent that the complaints regarding certain topics are addressed by specific policies or other documents that may modify this complaint or process or require an alternative process. So we encourage parents and guardians to always review the official policies. Always look out and see if there are any changes. Please, let's share the following slide. So the first step, if there is ever a concern, and we just want to, again, share this before the school year begins, it is important for you to always communicate. I want to stop just briefly here on this slide before we continue, because Dallas ISD, with students, there are always calls about different kinds of issues, and it could be bullying, it could be cyberbullying. There are many different concerns that that parents may have. Sometimes it could be about report cards or grades, attendance. And sometimes parents tend to wait until the last minute, sometimes until the end of the year, when the problem can be solved, but it's just going to be a little bit more difficult. So it's always best if you can observe what is happening at the school level, and maybe for the first 9 weeks, check and see how things are going and then address the issue. But if there is something of a higher concern, then you can address it again directly with the school. So for the first step, unless otherwise provided by a policy or regulation, cross-reference at the FNG local, and this is the student the issue resolution process, students or parents shall be entitled to informal conferences with the administrators to resolve their complaints. So in most circumstances in which a complaint involves a problem with a teacher, the student or parent shall be expected to take the first step and talk with the teacher, as I mentioned before, or other school staff member. And there's always, or there has to be, someone with the staff that you feel more comfortable or close with. So you have to share that complaint or concern and request a response or a follow-up. So if the issue is not resolved at that level, then you can pursue a resolution at level 1. So let's go on to the second slide. Level 1, and this is when you have a formal complaint. Within 10 days of encountering the issue, you need to submit your complaint or concern in writing to the principal or to the lowest level administrator who has authority to remedy the alleged problem and request a conference. So this is when you use the level 1 form and attach any documentation that you would like to share. So the principal and administrator must schedule and hold a conference with you within 5 days of receiving the complaint. The principal administrator shall have 7 days following the conference within which to make a written response. So if they do reply in writing, you need to keep a copy of that response. But if you do not receive a response within the time limit, or you were not provided relief with that concern, then you have the option to go to level 2. Let's continue on with the next slide. And the next slide shows level 2. That means that within 7 days of filing level 1 or going through level 1, you file a request for a conference with the executive director or the next appropriate level of administrator, which the executive director will be the supervisor for the school principal. And the executive director or the next appropriate level of administrator must schedule and hold a conference with you within 7 days of receiving the request. The executive director or administrator shall have 7 days following the conference within which you can make, or they need to make or provide a written response. And there's an option. So if you do not receive a response within the time limit, or you were not provided relief, then you go on to level 3. Let's share level 3, which is on the next slide. For level 3, the process is to submit a written request to the superintendent of schools for a review of the documents. The superintendent of schools at his discretion may schedule a conference or prepare a written response based upon the review of the record within 10 days of their request. And again, the same process follows. If you do not receive a response within that time limit, or you will not provide a relief, Then you take the final step. And for the final step is an appeal to the board of directors. Excuse me. So within the 10 days after the receipt of a response, or if no response was received, then within the 10 days of the response deadline at level 3, you need to submit a written request to the Office of Board Services to have the matter placed on the agenda of the future Board of Trustees meeting. So the Office of Board Services will inform you of the date, the time, and place of the meeting. The presiding officer will establish a reasonable time limit for presenting the complaint. The complaint may be presented in an open or closed meeting in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act and other applicable law, and the district will make a recording of the proceeding. The Board of Trustees will communicate its decision orally or in writing at any time up to and including the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Trustees. So the board policies can be found on the district's website, and for easy access, always for any topic that you are looking for, always go to board policy, and there's a quick link and you will find all policies, the most recent and revised policies there. They're going to be located on the top left hand side of the page when you go on the website and type issue resolution. Let's go on to the next page. And so if for any reason the board fails to reach a decision regarding the complaint by the end of the next regularly scheduled meeting, the lack of a response by the board upholds that administrative decision at a level 3. So the district's complaint and grievance forms for school-related issues are available if you go to the website and just type issue resolution, and that's where you will be finding some of the forms. And on the next slide, we will share the forms, the listing of the forms that you can be able to click on and be able to print and complete. And you have exhibits A all the way through H, and there are different forms: the level 1 response, level 2 appeal notice, the level 2 response, level 3 appeal notice, and all of those forms, which are all the different steps that you will follow. On the next slide, you can see what is, how does a form look like when you have that issue or concern that you want to express and you want to do this in a formal way. So student, parent, guardian can complete this form at the level 1, and that's just an example, where you include your name, address, contact information, and you describe the decision or the circumstances causing your complaint. So you need to give specific factual details. Who did you talk to, and how have, this decision or circumstances, how, what is the harm, what are the consequences, and what has happened, and dates and times, and as much as information you can include. On page 2 of that form, let's go on to the next slide, you will be able to describe all the efforts that you have made to resolve your complaint informally, and the responses to those efforts, and specify who did you talk to. So I think it's very important to ask, who are you speaking with and what is the date? So there is the form, the student or the parent guardian can sign, and you include the date, and that would be level 1. And I'm not going to go through all the different levels because the forms are similar. I'd like to go on to the following page. And this is, basically resolution. That is how a level 1 response will look like. This will be coming from the school, and it includes the date, the name, the address, and it will tell you, dear parent, for the following reasons, we are unable to provide remedy, or we are able to provide remedy regarding your complaint, and they will sign and provide all the details. So these forms look similar on all the different levels. So this is only when you have a formal complaint. And again, you go to the web page, dallasisd.org, and you type in issues resolution, and that's how you will find all the different forms and begin the process. And now I would like to share, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, there's a new application that when you go to the website and you go into dallasisd.org/let's talk, or simply you go on the website and you can see it on the main page, and you click on the right hand side, you will see a green bar that will read let's talk. So this is a way for you to start a conversation via the new communications platform that works with all the devices, you know, your laptop, telephone, iPad, etc. And this is, let's go on to the next slide. And basically, Let's Talk, it's this communication tool that if you have questions, Dallas ISD will have answers. So let's talk. And basically, it's an online customer and communication tool that will help Dallas ISD staff and the community, to respond to questions. So anyone can submit a question, a comment, a concern, suggestion, or a compliment, of course, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you are busy during the day, but at nighttime you have time, or first thing in the morning or the middle of the night, you are concerned, it is very important for you to be able to connect to any of the departments that are just a click away, and you can begin a conversation. And the important part is that this is, on the system, and anybody can be made aware of your concern, and then someone should be able to follow up with you within a period of 24 to 48 hours. Let's go on to the next slide. And this is when you go to the application, you will see this on your screen. You will see a listing of all the different departments and services. For example, general inquiries, employees. This is the section for the employees, resources, extracurricular activities, programs. And the most popular one is the fourth tab, which is the student, family, and community services. And we'll show you what is under that. And there is the public school choice, teaching and learning, technology support, business, and operations. So this tab, the student, family, and community services, is very popular. It includes a link for counseling services, food and child nutrition services, which everyone right now has been calling for EBT program, and they're trying to get information about lunch and all of that. You can find it there. Homeless education program, which is just an incredible department with many different resources, or they work with different organizations in the community, so then they can refer homeless families, which homeless families are considered those that live with other family members because they do not have a home. There are many, they have many resources. There is the Mental Health Services Department, Parent Advocacy, Racial Equity Office, the Student Discipline, the Student Enrollment, Student Record Services, and Student Transportation. And on the next slide, I will give you an example of what other links are there. And it is important to know that for extracurricular activities, you can find student activities, athletics, and when you go on to them, you can find other information in other tabs. For teaching and learning, you can see bilingual ESL, early learning, library services, math, social studies, reading, special education, teaching and learning, visual and performing arts, and of course below is information technology, which is very important for you to know where it is, because anyone can go there and make a request or open up a ticket for a technology replacement, or if they cannot access now that school will begin, if anybody has any type of issues. On the next slide, if you click on, for example, we click on parent advocacy, you will see, this is the one for enrollment. This is a very popular link right now. So for enrollment, you will see different tabs. So if you're a returning student, a new student, kindergarten, 1st to 12th grade, or if you just want to find your school, those are the links that you will click. School choice, you can see magnet campuses, innovation campuses, transformation, collegiate academies, and early colleges. if you are looking for a student transfer request or request a transcript. And if you're new to Dallas, what are the questions that you need for new families out of the country or out of state? So that is how it looks when you click, for example, on enrollment. And on the next slide, you will have to click on the most appropriate tab. And when you open those tabs, you will see something similar like what you're looking at the screen. First of all, you are able to select the language on the top right hand of the form. So if it's English or Spanish, and you will select what is it that you would like to submit. Do you have a question? Do you have a comment? Do you have a suggestion, a concern, or a compliment? So what's on your mind? On the subject, it is very important to include what is your question. Is it enrollment? Is it bullying? What is it that you would like to know? Is it a report card, attendance, discipline, anything? And you can provide a description. It is very important to always not just ask a question in general, but always specify the name of the school, the name of the student. If you have the student ID, that will always help the person on the other side who's receiving this concern to be able to better help you. Maybe by the time they respond, they are able to find an answer for you. So the more information you provide, if you don't have the student ID, you can provide the date of birth, but the more details, the better. So then they have an idea of where the student is. Sometimes there are concerns where parents say, I have this problem, and they'll explain, but they'll never include the name of the student, the grade, or the school name. And it's always just hard to figure out how to help the parent, or there can be an answer, but to be more specific, they need to include the more information, the better. If you want to write in Spanish, you can definitely do that. And it's important to always Let's Talk know who you are. Are you a Dallas ISD student? Are you a Dallas ISD employee, a Dallas ISD parent guardian, or a community member? And at the bottom, it's a little blurry, but it says, how can we contact you? So it is very important to be able to let Let's Talk know how to contact you. And you can see also in the box on the bottom right-hand side where it says add an attachment, you can add any documents that you feel are pertinent to this concern or question or whatever you would like to express. And at the end, where you cannot see it, but there's a button that reads submit. You just click submit, and there it will go straight to that department. So that's why it is very important to fill this form, complete it, and submit it, and type your email correctly or your phone number. That way they know how to contact you. And each department will always share this to the exact right person that will be able to provide support and help. So that is why this is so wonderful, because it could be on the weekend that you think of this question or concern, or sometimes students don't necessarily speak straightforward with a parent until later in the day or the evening or the weekend. And whenever you find anything that you're concerned about, this is how to do it. On the following screen, I would like to thank you for your time, and it is very important to stay connected and informed. So the number one place to go will always be dallasisd.org, because on the main page, they always have slide information. It's huge. It's rotating information on everything that is the latest and that is the most relevant information for the week. You are able to see that right in front when you open the website. You can also visit Facebook, the Dallas ISD parent page, or the Dallas ISD general, Facebook page. The Family and Community Engagement has a Twitter page, a Dallas ISD parent. If you are a Twitter user that you prefer, then that's a great opportunity to keep yourself informed. You can also visit or click and listen to the weekly episodes for the Dallas ISD Parents Podcast. And there are English and Spanish episodes that where different Dallas ISD speakers and guests talk about different topics that are related to education and how to help parents better advance the education of the students. And of course, the Fam Jams, these are very popular, and these are family virtual information sessions, just like this one. They're usually organized by an area in town, but anybody can always join. So if you cannot join on one, you can always participate on the other, or always come back to the video section on the Facebook page for Dallas ISD Parent, and you can always find the information posted there. And also, while I don't have a picture of a frog bus, which is a bus that has a frog on the bus. And that means frog is family resources on the go. So it is very important that when you see a frog bus, always go and stop by it. If you're driving by a school or a certain area, always go and visit the frog bus stop, because what it is this bus brings information and resources to all the parents. So you can stop by and say, I have a concern, I would like to ask this question, and there will always be someone to help you, because they bring in laptops that are connected to the internet, and they can help you right there. With, you can even go, sometimes it's a drive-through service and support. You can always get off the car and walk as well. And there are also weekly newsletters that you can access. So it is very important to find that. I also forgot to list the Hub. That's another publication where, if you prefer to read, and that's your preference, you can always go and read the different articles that are posted. But information is always there at the reach of your hands. So it's a matter of your preference, but information is always posted. Always look there, and you will probably find the answer there. And again, before we close the session, we definitely like to go to the Q&A section of this presentation. But just one recommendation: always express your concern. If you have a question, always do it with the school first. The goal is for you to not go through the formal process of a concern or a complaint. So thank you very much. And Virginia, do we have any questions from the audience?
Yes, you have great information. So there aren't a whole lot of questions, but I do. One that was, I think, would be beneficial for our parents to know: when going back to the resolution process, you mentioned the number of days that it took for the process to go through. Is that business days, or is that at calendar days?
Yes, that would be business days. So it's 10 days of encountering the issue. That's the very first level. Within the 10 days, it is important to submit that complaint or concern and write to the principal or to the lowest level of administrator in the school. Most of the times, it's the assistant principal.
Right. Okay. So not counting weekends and holidays, correct?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And then what is the Dallas ISD ID for the Let's Talk app? I believe they're being asked for an ID.
Mm-hmm. And what do you mean? The ID, or is it just the link? Mm-hmm.
It's asking what is the DISD ID for the Let's Talk app?
Okay, well, I just submitted the link and responded to the person that was asking that online. And the ID, I don't know what that is referring to, but I did mention that it is important, if parents know the ID of the student or student's ID number, that it is important to include it, because that makes it easier to find any record or on the system or anything. For example, with special education, it's a lot easier to find out what the status is of a certain evaluation, or when is the next meeting, etc. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Those are all the questions we have pertaining to your presentation. So we really appreciate your help and all the information that you've had to give us.
Yes, we appreciate that. And again, thank you for the time. And I really congratulate, again, parents on this new school year. And congratulations to all of them, because if they are here, that means that they want to be informed. And please share these links with other parents and friends. And always communicate with the school. So congratulations on this new year for everyone. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a reminder, these videos will be available starting next week on our website. So if you missed anything or you want to go back and see the information that any of our presenters shared, you can go to our webpage at dallasisd.org/family. Okay, welcome back. We're going to go on to our final presentation for this evening. It's going to be given by Ms. Juliet Arellano Gaona. She will discuss COVID fatigue and ways families can cope with the stress. Juliet?
Hi, yes, thank you so much. Hello, my name is Juliet, and today I'll be presenting on COVID support and relief for the family, but we will also be going over mental health services here at Dallas ISD. You can go to the next slide. Just a few reminders. Have your microphones muted unless you have been selected to share. If for some reason you log off or you leave the meeting, you can go ahead and rejoin through whatever link was given to you. You can use a chat box to contribute to the discussion or ask questions. Of course, we want people to engage and participate, and we will keep this timely because we do value everyone's time. Again, my name is Juliet. I am one of the mental health clinicians at the West Dallas Youth and Family Center. Okay, so some of the objectives for our presentation, we're going to provide an overview of the mental health services department. And then we'll go into our main topic. So we'll review signs of COVID fatigue impacting students, healthy coping skills, and additional resources for students and families. Okay, so what is Dallas ISD Mental Health Services? The Mental Health Services Department provides mental and physical health services to Dallas ISD students and families. All clinicians have an advanced degrees and are licensed mental health providers. The mental health services clinicians and psychiatrists collaborate with other Dallas ISD departments, outside agencies, and nonprofit organizations so we can give the best services to the students who are needing them. While health and well-being are our primary focus, our most significant impact is on student achievement. So of course we know that all of these interact. If our student isn't doing well mentally or physically, their achievement in school is probably not going to be the best. So we have two different types of services within the mental health services here at Dallas ISD. The one we're going to start talking about is the clinic-based services. These are 12 youth and family centers that are located throughout the Dallas ISD. These centers or these clinics provide evaluations, psychosocial assessments for students. We provide individual, family, and group counseling. We have psychiatric consultations and medication management, and parent and education workshops. So here at the clinic-based, it's a little bit more long-term counseling services. We are also in collaboration with the Parkland Hospital Health Services, which provides physical health services to Dallas County children ages 5 through 19. For the clinic-based services on the mental health side, we can provide services to children from 3 up to 21 years old as long as they are still enrolled in a Dallas ISD school. Another part of our clinic-based services is the alcohol and drug intervention program. So this program provides substance abuse education and intervention services to Dallas ISD students and families. The primary scope is to increase awareness, expand preventions, and facilitate interventions that will empower recovery skills and healthy life choices for students who struggle with substance abuse. And as you can see here on our left, there's a model of how that all comes together. So we have classroom guidance, community outreach, campus support, and social emotional learning. And the other branch of the mental health services is the school-based services. So these services, or these counselors who are in the schools, they provide a more of a short-term kind of intervention. So they provide consultation about emotional, social, and behavior issues which impact learning. They respond to threats of suicide and violence for all students. They can provide individual and group counseling to general education students. So these are, like I said, short-term interventions, about 4 to 6 sessions, and they can provide other additional behavioral and emotional support on campus. So they are, again, more short-term, and at the end of the presentation, we'll have the information for you if you're interested in mental health services. And now we will go ahead and go to our next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about maybe COVID fatigue and what can we do at home to help our students cope with that. We, of course, know that COVID is still a thing, and we keep hearing new updates on the news. So even adults are kind of fatigued by it. So we can only imagine how our students are also doing, and especially coming into this new school year, that can raise some anxiety and stress for families. So we're going to go over some signs to look for. We're going to start off with our preschool age. So some signs to look for are maybe like thumb sucking, bedwetting, maybe child is becoming more clingy to parents, sleep disturbances, they're getting up through the night or having a hard time falling asleep, loss of appetite, fear of the dark, that's just onset randomly. They can regress in behavior, so maybe they're acting at a younger age than what they really are, and some withdrawal. So maybe isolating themselves from family members or from friends or cousins, not wanting to play with others, that kind of thing. For elementary school children, you can maybe see some signs of irritability, aggressiveness, again, that clinginess, potential for nightmares, school avoidance, so not wanting to go to school, not wanting to get up on time, maybe avoiding homework, poor concentration and withdrawal. Here we see that again from activities and friends. So if they're withdrawing from activities that they enjoy, like playing video games, playing some kind of sport, drawing, singing, if they're musically inclined, if they're withdrawing from those activities that they like. And of course, also withdrawing from friends if they don't want to play with other children or cousins or siblings. For our adolescents, our teenagers, we can see maybe some sleeping and eating disturbances. So their sleeping patterns can be a little bit off. Maybe they're struggling going to sleep. Or it can also be the opposite for our teenagers. Maybe they're oversleeping. So spending a lot of time, more time sleeping, kind of to avoid maybe what's going on. Eating disturbances, maybe they've lost their appetite, or also overeating because of the stress or anxiety around COVID and going back to school and that stress that it can bring on. Agitation, increase in conflicts. This can also be to that agitation or maybe that irritability that increases those conflicts between parent and child. Physical complaints, and this can also happen for elementary school children and sometimes for preschoolers as well. Headaches, stomach aches, constipation, maybe they're going to the restroom more than usual, maybe they're feeling more achy. So those physical complaints that can be onset from that anxiety or stress or that fatigue. Delinquent behavior, if they're engaging maybe in like riskier behavior or they're not showing up for school, and then that causes some issues with attendance. And again, we see here also poor concentration. They may be focusing on that stress or that anxiety, or maybe they're just too tired from not being able to sleep or eat well. So these are some of the signs to look for throughout the school year and throughout this pandemic that, you know, even as adults, we may not be sure of what's going on 100%. So it's important to check in with kids, you know, throughout the school year to make sure that there's no like change in behaviors, or if you do see some change in behaviors, being able to talk to your child about those and seeking help. So we're going to talk about a little bit on coping. We're going to touch on three parts of coping. So we're going to talk about communication, boundary setting, and activities. So coping through communication, I think throughout at this time, communication is so important. And sometimes maybe because we're busy or, you know, we're dealing with our own things as adults or parents, we may not be communicating to our children everything that's going on. So here are some pointers on how communication can help your child just be more informed. So for early elementary school children, provide brief, simple information about COVID-19, right? You don't have to pull up the CDC charts and show them everything that's going on, just brief, simple information. You know, there's a pandemic going on, it's an illness, it spreads easily, and we have to, you know, maintain distance or wear masks or whatever you decide to do to keep your child safe. Talk about efforts to help keep them healthy, right? Whatever you decide to keep them healthy, and give simple examples of steps made every day to stop germs and stay healthy, such as washing your hands, using the sanitizer, maintaining distance. For our upper elementary and early middle school children. So this age group often is more vocal in asking questions. They're a little bit more curious about whether they are safe and what will happen if COVID-19 spreads. They may need assistance separating reality from rumor and fantasy. So at this age group, our kids are also receiving information, you know, from other kids or from whatever they see on TV, or if they overhear their parents speaking about it or other adults speaking about it. So it's important to really communicate to our kids, you know, what is the reality of things and what maybe is a rumor or fantasy or over exaggeration, or, you know, whatever kind of thing that you see may not be really what's going on, and being able to clarify that. We'll go to the next slide. And then for our upper, middle, and high school students. So with these kids, they're a little bit more older. They're able to understand more about what's going on in the world. So providing honest, accurate, and factual information about the current status of COVID-19. Of course, since they're older kids, they can also look up their own information, but just being able to talk about it with your kids and clarifying any questions or any doubts that they may have. Engaging them in decision-making about family plans, scheduling, and helping with chores at home. So with the pandemic going on, you know, there's been a sense of loss of control on a lot of things. So engaging them in this decision-making will help them feel that there is some control, that they have a voice, and that they can, you know, speak to their parents about maybe what they want to do with to keep themselves safe and healthy as well. Next slide. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is coping through boundary setting. You know, even we see so much information from the news, from social media, from talking to neighbors, other family members, friends, and sometimes, you know, that can be very overwhelming, even for us as parents. So parents, guardians should monitor television, internet, and social media viewing, both for themselves and their children. Watching continual updates on COVID-19 may increase fear, anxiety, and stress. It's developmentally inappropriate information or information designed for adults can also cause anxiety or confusion, particularly in young children. So, you know, if we have the news on and our kids are walking by and they're younger children and they're hearing about deaths or you know, other news that maybe is not developmentally appropriate for them to be hearing, just be mindful of those things, and being mindful that the kids aren't overwatching, you know, this constant influx of information. And the same for parents as well, because it can be very anxiety inducing, and you know, that can cause more stress in the home and stress for kids at school as well. Dispel rumors and inaccurate information. So explain to your child that many stories about COVID-19 on the internet may include rumors and inaccurate information. So this boundary setting piece also goes with that communication piece, about, you know, being able to communicate what is reality and what maybe is rumors or inaccurate information. Next slide, please. And for the boundary setting piece, let your children's questions guide you. Often children and youth do not talk about their concerns because they are confused or don't want to worry loved ones. You know, even as adults, sometimes we don't want to worry our parents or our older family members. And kids can have some of these feelings too, where they don't want to worry their parents about how they're feeling. Younger children absorb scary information in waves. They ask questions, listen, play, and then repeat the cycle. Children always feel empowered if they can control some aspects of their life. A sense of control reduces that fear. That's why we were talking about, you know, being able to sit down with your kid, talk about the pandemic, you know, what you've learned and what they've learned as well, and giving them some space to also make their decisions on how to keep healthy, whether if it's they wear the, I don't know, whatever mask, the yellow mask or the red mask, if you have multiple masks at home, or if they want to take hand sanitizer to school, or, you know, whatever they can do in order to have more of that sense of safety can really help. And also providing that safe space for children to ask questions about COVID-19, so they can be informed, and then reducing some of that stress. And our final one is coping through activities. Activities were paused for a while. You know, if your kid played soccer or if they went to piano classes, a lot of that stuff stopped. A lot of those activities stopped due to the pandemic. Right now it's picking up a little bit more, but of course you can always cope through activities. So demonstrating deep breathing. Deep breathing is scientifically a scientifically proven tool for calming the nervous system. So when we're feeling really anxious or triggered or stressed because we're hearing all this stuff about COVID, deep breathing can really help us calm that nervous system down. And you can look up YouTube videos about deep breathing. There's even little videos for kids. There's apps. If you have an Apple Watch, you know that it also does the deep reminders of deep breathing. So showing your kids how to deep breathe. And this is a tool that they can use at home, at school, after school, before school. It's very, very accessible tool. Focus on the positive. So celebrate having more time to spend as a family, make it as fun as possible, engage your child in games or other exciting activities, sing, laugh, go outside, if possible, connect with nature, get some needed movement and exercise. That's also really good for the nervous system. And allow older kids or children to connect with their friends virtually if it's safe to do so. So, you know, focusing on those activities that you can do as a family that can cause a positive experience for the family in this trying time. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, we just went to this next slide. Establish and maintain a daily routine. So a regular schedule provides a sense of control, predictability, calm, and well-being. Developmentally, the brains of our children need and thrive in routine. So if you can have them, if you can formulate a schedule where maybe they also get to give their point of view about what time they go to sleep, what time they wake up, what's it going to look like when they come back home from school? Are they going to change clothes immediately, wash their hands, or take a bath just to make sure maybe germs are put away with dirty clothes? Do they take off their shoes before coming in? Things like that, so they know that there's a routine to follow to keep them safe. Identify projects that might help others. So one of a coping activity that can be really helpful is having children maybe also provide help to others. And this could include writing letters to neighbors or to someone that they know that's sick, that are stuck at home alone, to a healthcare worker that's a friend or family. Sending positive messages over social media, maybe reading a favorite children's book on social media platform for younger children to hear. So whatever they can engage with to help others can also help that boost some of those positive or more of those feelings that we like to feel, right? Like when we help another person. And finally, just offer lots of love and affection throughout this time and this school year that's coming up. So whatever love and affection looks like to you, whether it's hugging or giving pats on the back or holding or squeezing the hand, if it's giving words of affirmation or just kind words, right? That you love your child, that they're smart, intelligent, whatever that looks like for you, providing that love and affection. And so what if, you're doing all of these things at home and still your child maybe is needing some extra support? Here is the information where to find that support. So through our mental health services department, if you're wanting more of that longer term counseling, you can contact the youth and family centers. You can see our phone number there. It's that 972-502-4190. We also have a website, which you can see right there. For any school-based questions, any school-based brief counseling, or to report a crisis, you can contact your assigned school-based clinician, and you can see that phone number as well. Or if you're interested in any physical health services from Parkland, there's that phone number. And for Parkland, of course, they function as any family practitioner. So if you just want to get physicals, if kiddo's sick, things like that, you can call and make an appointment. So that's that information for you. And finally, to end our presentation today, here's this additional resource. It's through the Baylor College of Medicine and Harris Health System. They are providing a parent-led therapy, which is coping with COVID. It's provided in English and Spanish. And they work with parents one-on-one via Zoom to learn skills to cope with stress and anxiety that they can teach their child. It's through a cognitive behavioral therapy model, CBT, which teaches children how to identify, challenge, and overcome unhelpful anxiety-related habits and thought patterns. It's one of the best evidence-based treatments for addressing stress and anxiety. And that contact information is at the bottom of the screen as well. And this is for kids ages 5 to 13. And that concludes our presentation for today. I hope that that was helpful information. And if anyone has any questions, I'm open to taking those.
Thank you, Juliet. That was great information. I think we have many of our families who are dealing with anxiety about the coming back to school. So you have some great resources and information there for them. We do have one question that's actually a two-part question. I know you gave the resources on there, but do parents have to go through the school counselor to go to these clinics, or do that, or if they do go to the counselor, are they referred from the counselor? If they need more support?
They can, if they're interested in counseling services, they can just contact that number for the clinics, the general phone line. And then that will be sent to the nearest clinic to their home, and a counselor will reach out to them and set up appointments with them.
Okay. Will they be able to go through the school counselor if possible? I mean, if they prefer?
Yes, they can go through the school counselor as well. If the school counselor sees that maybe they can do brief intervention, and if the school counselor sees that they need maybe a little bit more support, then the school counselor will refer to the clinic.
Great, thank you very much. Those are all the questions that we have here on our Q&A box. So I appreciate your input and your information. It was great information, and hopefully it's useful to our parents.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our presentations for this evening. I want to thank our presenters and our interpreters for their time and information. And a special thank you goes to all of our families who have logged on this evening. We hope that this information has been helpful and that you will join us again tomorrow at the same time, use the same link. But before you go, we'd like to kindly ask you to take a few minutes to fill out our survey. If you joined us yesterday, we're asking that you please fill out the survey again today. You can click on the QR code, or we'll put the link on the question box so that you can access it there. But please take a few minutes. After you fill out the survey, you may log off if you want, and then join us again tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.